It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
I would like to turn to the other case, United States versus Aiello, the rigged poker game case. Beginning as early as 2019, the defendants in this case orchestrated a scheme to use wireless cheating technology to run rigged poker games across the United States, including in the Hamptons, Las Vegas, Miami, and Manhattan. The scheme targeted victims known as, quote, fish, who were often lured to participate in these rigged games by the chance to play alongside former professional athletes who were known as, quote, face cards. The so-called face cards included the defendant, Chauncey Billups, who at the time of the scheme was a former NBA player and is currently the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and also Damon Jones, a former NBA player and coach. What the victims, the fish, didn't know is that everybody else at the poker game, from the dealer to the players, including the face cards, were in on the scam. Once the game was underway, the defendants fleeced the victims out of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars per game. The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies, some of which were provided by other defendants in exchange for a share of the profits from the scheme. For example, they used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the best poker hand, and relay that information to an off-site operator. The off-site operator sent the information via cell phone back to a co-conspirator at the table, and that person at the table was known as the quarterback. The quarterback then signaled secretly the information he had received from others to others at the table, and together they used that information in order to win their games and to cheat the victims. Defendants used other cheating technologies such as poker chip tray analyzers, which is a poker chip tray that secretly reads cards using a hidden camera, special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards, and an X-ray table that could read cards face down on the table. I would like to turn to the other case.
Secret glasses and contacts and stuff like this is a sophisticated operation to just get a couple $1,000s out of somebody. I think that's a bit much, right? I mean, I get the scheme, but somebody was suspicious about this, and I heard Gilbert Arenas is a snitch. Somebody saying Gilbert Arenas was in on this. Like, Gilbert Arenas was arrested some months back in August, so he might have something. And we know Gilbert Arenas is a gambler. So let's continue.
The defendants used a variety of very sophisticated cheating technologies. They used off-the-shelf shuffling machines that had been secretly altered in order to read the cards in the deck, predict which player at the table had the...
So this is a rigged shuffler that they are talking about. This is the inside of it. And you know, if you go to a casino, they have like a big long, it's like a really long thing, and it has a bunch of decks of cards, and it shuffles all the cards, and they just slide the whole thing. So that's why there's like so many different cards in them, and it just keeps on, like it's like, I'm guessing the decks are separated, but every time a hand is played, it shuffles through the whole deck and pulls out a new deck every time. So you get a new deck every time. So it keeps people from counting cards. So because there's a new deck every time. So this is one of those things. I've never seen it, but I can see at the casino it automatically pops out the cards and everything. If you've been to a poker table, you know what I'm talking about. But if you have no idea, then you probably don't know.
Best poker hand.
Is that putting any pressure on you? I've never thought about that. But
No, you know, I don't. That pressure thing is nothing to me, man. I do the best I can and let the chips fall where they may. You know that about me by now, quick.
is that putting any pressure on you? I've never thought about that.
The FBI director, in fact, said, Leslie, that this is the insider trading saga for the NBA. Sports gambling investigation that they announced today. 6 defendants named, including Miami Heat's Terry Rozier and former Cavaliers player and assistant coach Damon Jones. They say between 2022 and 2024, illegal betting was happening, that these guys were involved in throwing the games or misusing insider information for gambling, and then profiting on games for the Hornets, the Lakers, the Trailblazers, and the Toronto Raptors. They gave specifics about Terry Rozier, who was playing for the Hornets at the time. He said he let a bunch of people know he would leave a game on March 23rd, 2023. Those people then wagered $200,000 on Rozier's under statistics. He left the game after 9 minutes. Prosecutors say those bettors profited tens of thousands of dollars, then went to Rozier's house to share the proceeds and count out the money. Prosecutors indicated this investigation was linked to the bust of Raptors player Jontay Porter, who, remember, he got banned from playing for the NBA for life and was convicted on felony charges. The second big investigation, Operation Royal.
Oh, they snitching. Yeah, all these NBA players, they ain't built for the criminal life. They telling on everybody.
Flush involving Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups, player Terry Rozier again, and Damon Jones in an underground illegal poker ring. This involved several organized crime families associated with La Cosa Nostra. Basically, prosecutors allege the celebrity athletes were used to lure unsuspecting gamblers to these poker games, where the mafia had modified card shuffling machines, barcoded the decks, had cameras built into the tables and light fixtures. The dealers were in on it. The athletes, they allege, made the games look legitimate. Prosecutors say one victim alone lost $1.8 million. But in total, this ring brought in tens of millions.
Oh, yeah. If I'm losing $1 million, I'm snitching. Something's up with that. Yeah, they caught them red-handed. I don't know. I wonder where they got, like, if they've got all the machines, if they busted all the spots. I'm pretty sure whoever lost all that money pulled a Nino Brown. It started telling on everybody. If I go down, everybody go down.
And then when people refused to pay, prosecutors say the defendants did what organized crime always does, threaten violence. You've got 34 individuals here charged with a range of things: extortion, money laundering, wire fraud, bank fraud, illegal gambling. Rozier will be in federal court today in Orlando. There was a game against the Magic there last night. And Billups will have an appearance in federal court in Portland, Oregon. They had a game there against the Timberwolves last night. One more note, because as you know, I cover gambling. Kash Patel mentioned that the sports books were victims in this. You had the prosecutor for the Eastern District, the U.S. attorney, saying the sports books here are victims. They were not perpetrators in all of this. So just on the record about that.
Today, we are here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Cosa Nostra. As you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Today,
these are just remarkable cases.
I bet we're going to see the inside of this case through and through before we see the Epstein files.
These are captivating allegations. 2 different types of schemes alleged here involving dozens of people, including the names you just referenced. And let me tell you, Chauncey Billups may not be a household name, but if you watch the NBA over a period of time, that's a household name. That is an iconic figure in the National Basketball Association, and he actually comes up in both of the 2 cases. Let me start with the basketball case. They are alleging at the FBI and the Department of Justice that some figures in the NBA were selling or sharing information with gamblers, known gamblers or gambler conduits, about what was going to happen that night, who was going to be on the court, who wasn't going to be on the court, and that the gamblers were capitalizing on this to the tune of millions of dollars.
You know what I don't understand is you're making millions of dollars and you settle for a $10 million payout. $10,000 payout to rig a game. That's kind of stupid. Yeah, he's the shit. Detroit Pistons, that's my favorite team. But you making millions of dollars and you're risking your career and your life over a couple $1,000s, man. I find that completely insane.
And that there was a scheme to capitalize on that inside information, unlawful as it may be, that enriched some people, that people who were sharing the information from courtside were part of the scheme, according to the feds. In another case, in the basketball case, Reed, one of the players is accused to have been in on this. That's Terry Rozier, a particularly successful player for the Miami Heat. They're alleging in this charging document that he did a version of taking a dive, knew that he was going to check himself out by surprise early in the game, shared that information with gamblers who bet that Rozier was not going to have a good night that night scoring, and capitalized. This scheme allegedly goes on and on. It's widespread. It involves basketball. Let me take it to the second case. This one involves illegal poker, and there are several things that are fascinating here, including types of technology that even card players may not know existed. They're alleging that Chauncey Billups was a known part of a scheme to lure in victims to the poker table, to gamble, to spend their money on unlawful poker, and that the scheme used some type of trick card shufflers to relay information about which card was sitting where, that there was a communication system to somebody outside.
Mind you, Chauncey Billups is making millions as a coach. Why is he risking his life, his career, his name over a few $1,000s? I guess we're gonna have to keep an update on this because I don't see him risking all that for just, some tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds maybe. But the scheme with 30 people, if 30 people were arrested, I'm imagining that maybe 10 people were in on each one. So if 10 people, they got one guy for like $1.4 million, split that between 10 people, that's $140,000. And you telling me you making millions a year and you risk your freedom for $140,000 when you could just be legit and make money? Like, what the fuck how stupid can you be? Greed. If anything, it's greed.
To relate who had the best hands, and that somebody at the table would quarterback this and signal to others so that the victims would lose money and the schemers would make money. Reed, they also allege in that case that Chauncey Billups was the famous face to lure the players to the table and was a known commodity to this scheme. It's just fascinating.
Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier were arrested as part of FBI investigations into sports gambling. Billups' arrest was part of a separate but related case linked to an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia, ABC News is reporting. At the core of Rozier's arrest is a March 2023 game that saw an uptick of Rozier bets come in on the under. Rozier left the game just 9 minutes in, citing a foot injury. Rozier had previously not been accused of any wrongdoing. Also involved in this, former Cavaliers player and assistant coach Damon Jones, who was also arrested on charges that he provided inside information about NBA games to co-defendants. FBI Director Cash Patel announced the arrest. Take a listen. Everybody on this set away from what I'm about to say. This is coming from me. We all know when we're talking about gambling, just so you know, in calendar year 2024, Americans wagered approximately $147.9 billion through regulated sports books. According to the American Gaming Association, as of August of this year, Americans wagered an estimated $84 billion with illegal bookies and offshore sports books in the past year. We know about how the world of gaming and gambling has ingratiated itself within the world of sports and vice versa. And we all understand, like we talk about the poker games and all of this other stuff. You may not have known any kind of mild connection or anything like that. We got that part. But there's a macro perspective that everybody has to pay attention to. And this is where I come in. We're sitting on here on the sports show doing First Take. We all know what other stuff that I do. We know what world that I live in terms of politics. How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming? He's coming. I'm going to say it on national television again. Bad Bunny is performing at the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden you hearing ICE is going to be there, looking to engage in mass deportations. The Super Bowl, disrupting things. Big night for the NBA. Wembanyama put on a show. That has now been smeared because we're talking about this story, okay? Remember, Trump has a long, long history connected to the world of sports because he had those casinos. Where do you think folks were coming half the time? I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the culture. When people want to go to a casino, when people want to gamble, when people want to party, or whatever the case may be, this was his kind of connection to Trailblazers head coach.
Man, what that have to do with the price of tea in China? I don't know where he was going with that, but I feel like that's somebody's drunk uncle just talking. You know, somebody drunk uncle just trying to make a conversation. He really trying to come back off of that Jasmine Crockett thing. He was apologizing to her today, like, you know, it's undoubtedly that I am apologize for even bringing up her name and her eyelashes and her wigs in any conversation. Man, he should have just shut his mouth. And shout out to Jasmine Crockett, because she didn't even respond even from his initial points, and she still haven't responded. That's how you shut people up. Don't even respond. When they come at you, just don't even respond. So shout out to her for that, and let him put his foot in his own mouth. We got the same hairline, but he's still holding on to his.
Day and night. For some women, it can start working in as quick as 1 week.